Wah, Drop Nation. All right, let's keep it going. We got cut off around the 1 hour mark, so we're going to continue. And just to pick up where we left off, get part one. We're going to get our dismount to the brother higher mark, as promised, man, so let's keep going. Again, we were just talking about Mount Roraima. We just brought it back up to connect it. As we know, this is being called the source. This is being called the source of many rivers, of Guyana River, of the Amazon and Orinoco. And it's the same Orinoco that we got this Columbus talking about. Columbus was keenly interested in finding the lost Garden of Eden, the terrestrial paradise, perhaps. All right, so we're talking about when he stumbled onto the island of Hispaniola, Haiti. All right, Columbus believed he was close to rediscovering Eden. So we got an Eden, terrestrial paradise, Haiti, all right, South America, a belief reinforced by the strength of the Orinoco River. I've never heard or read of so great a quantity of fresh water so coming into and near the salt. All right, so he says this is a very mild climate, also supports this view, and it does not come from there. If it does not come from there, from paradise. So we're talking from there, from paradise, from Eden. Why would Columbus connect the Orinoco River to Eden? The same Eden that this Mount Roraima is the source of, is flowing this Orinoco River, this source. That's Columbus is connected to Eden, all right? So this, of course, is not a mountain, but a tree. And the water from this tree is the source of the Amazon. According to the source here, all right? Source of the Amazon, the source of the Orinoco, source of the Guyana River. What else? I mean, your trees gave you life. And we got this before, but we're just getting that little recap. So this tree, right? They call it a giant flat top mountain, but we know it's a tree. And again, it's the source of the Guyana, Amazon, and Orinoco. It has a natural staircase-like ramp on the Venezuela side. Right? And we know that it says right here that the Piedmont Indians of Gran Sambanya see Roraima as the stump of a mighty tree that once held all the fruits and tuberous vegetables in the world. So the indigenous people see that this mountain is the mighty tree, not a flat-topped mountain. But they're calling it a tree, the indigenous people. Who do you believe? And they're saying that this tree once held all the fruits and tuberous vegetables in the world. And if it held all the fruits and vegetables in the world, would it be the source of the Amazon and the Orinoco River flowing out of paradise? Mount Roraima. All right. So all this is happening in South America. Columbus knows he's connecting all this to the Garden of Eden. And we have this Mount Roraima, this tree stump that even the indigenous people call it a tree stump. And the boundaries of it is Brazil and Venezuela and Guyana. And there's a connection between Solomon and Venezuela. There's a connection between your indigenous truth here. And that's what we're getting into this PDF. And again, love to the brother, getting to the root of it all. Man, go get that drop. Subscribe, love to all the family. So this is incredible. So, we're in part 2. We're going to keep going with the preface and get into the drop. All right, so, it only remains for me to add a few words of explanation regarding the Morenos. All right, we're going to get into these Morenos, or secret Jews, or Israelites, and their status. The terrible massacres of 1391 and later persecutions had compelled or induced vast numbers of Jews or Israelites to submit to baptism or Christianity, right? So they want you to play like, oh yeah, these Jews, but no, we're connecting these Indians, and these Israelites to be the same people. And these Indians or Israelites were forced to submit to their Christianity and their baptism. I mean, we were getting baptized in a fountain of youth, baby. We were getting baptized in the waters, man. But now they want to baptize us, into their God, into their, comprehension of the abstract, the hijack. The great majority of these converts adhere to Judaism more firmly than is commonly supposed, though they had succumbed to force. Anism. We're going to get this anism. And have become Christians in appearance or outwardly. So when they say Nestorian Christians, are they referring to the outward appearance of Christianity? Yet they lived according to the precepts and laws of their ancestral faith. The laws of Moshe, the laws of the Creator. Wow. Hey. So what is this anism that they're being forced to succumb? Immediately when you see this anism, and I ain't just being, this ain't no funny bone, but you see anus. And I said, what is this anus? What is this anism? What do we get for anism? Anus. All right, they're calling this singular male anusu, meaning coerced. It is legal category of Jews. It's the legal category of Jews in halakha, Jewish law. All right, who were forced to abandon Judaism against their will, or abandon, their Creator's laws against their will. Typically while forcibly converted to another religion. Now, who does this sound like? Who is this anus? Who's been taking it in the anus, man? Spiritually taking it in the anus. We have been absolutely raped, molested, ripped apart, ripped out of our family structures. That's taking it. As a community, we've taken it in the anus by this invader who's forced their male energy, to do what? Blind us, to try to make us, low to the level of the beasts of the field. We're forced to abandon their law against their will, forcibly converted. So when they declared this 1452 dumb Diversas on you, and they converted you, it says convert them. What does it say? Dumb Diversas, Papal Bull, June 18, 1452. Pope Nicholas V issued the Papal Bull. We weighing all and singular the premises with due meditation. They meditated on your demise, and noting that since we had formerly, by other letters of ours, granted, among other things, free and ample faculty to the aforesaid King Alfonso to do what? To the so-called Negro to do what? To invade, to search out, capture, vanquish, and subdue all Saracens. All Saracens? But what does a Saracen have to do with me? Great question. What does a Saracen have to do with you? What does a Saracen have to do with you, people? Shit. What does a Saracen have to do with me? Who are they calling Saracens? We know, the connection between Saracens and Islam, or this and that, but they called everybody Saracens. They called everybody Moor. Everyone Saracen. But which Moor? Which family of Moor? Were you rocking Moor as in Amorite, as in Moab, as in Morocco? Or were you rocking, or was this title being attached to you? In this connection of what they're calling great or big or moron or whatever they want to flip it to, whatever the case. But who's the Saracens? Right here it says this is the crest of a Saracen's head. But we're only talking about the Druze, the Randrus. We got this drop, right? The word Saracen was used in early centuries in the Roman Empire describing an Arab tribe, but we're only talking about the Andrews. the family associated with Clan Ross, the lost tribes of Israel identity, the red thread. So as we got this, and as we connected these roots and these kings of Jerusalem and these coat of arms, they're calling everyone Saracens. Look at this copper color, curly head brother. Who is this walking down the street today? To them, or what? A Saracen. So he said to invade, search out, capture, vanquish, and subdue all Saracens in Spain, in America. Let go. And subdue all Saracens, all Negroes, and who they're calling pagans. We call them heathen, they called us pagan. Whatsoever, and other enemies of their Christ, their anointed of their Greek, their Zeus, their Zeus, who wheresoever place. So they went to the lands where there was no Zeus, and they tried to convert you into Zeus, into baptism. Wheresoever place, these Saracens, these dark copper color, more that are great, more that are big, Khans, Ame'ricans, all Saracens, Sarah Cali, and other enemies of Christ, wheresoever place, in all kingdoms, your kingdoms. I mean, they wouldn't say kingdoms unless these Saracens had kingdoms and crests and royalty. Take down their royalty. Invade, search it out, capture them, subdue them, vanquish them, because they're enemies of our Zeus, of our Jupiter, wheresoever place, and the kingdoms, all right, dukedoms, principalities, dominions like America, possessions like America, and all movable and immovable goods in America and the Indies, whatsoever held and possessed by them, and to reduce their persons to perpetual slavery. That is forever, people. You are a slave, a prisoner of war today because of this exact document. You're a prisoner of war in perpetual slavery, all Saracens. Oh, you're going to get all this connected, man. I'm going fast. Let's go. And to apply and appropriate to himself and his successors the kingdom, so they can take it to themselves and their successors, your kingdoms and your dukedoms and your counties and your principalities and your dominions, your possessions, your goods, your gold, your land. The Negroes enslaved on his own land? Nope. We're taking his possessions, his dominions, his goods, and to convert them to his or her use and profit. Convert them. These Negroes, these Saracens, we're going to convert these copper-colored people. Remember, American, the copper-colored race is found here by the Europeans. According to the 1828 Webster Dictionary, these copper-colored races, who they're calling Saracens, were hijacked, converted to his or her profit by having secured the said faculty, the said Alfonso, or his authority in the aforesaid Infante, justly and lawfully, really, has acquired and possessed and doth possess these islands. Whoa, which islands? The Indies, Americas, lands, harbors, and seas, and they do of right belong and pertain to King Alfonso and his successors, which is why when you go here to the 1828 Webster Dictionary, King Alfonso and his successors, right? That's why it says American, a native of America, originally applied to the Aboriginals or copper-colored races. Copper-colored races, who they're calling Saracens. Oh, our connection is great. America, a native of America, originally applied to the originals or copper-colored races found here. The Negroes enslaved on his own land. Found here, not on boats from Africa. No, they were found here by Europeans. But now the title American has been hijacked, Ame'rican. But now applied to the descendants or successors of Europeans born in America. King Alfonso and his successors. All of their successors, not just Alfonso, the descendants of Europeans born here. Saracens. Let's go. So, they had succumbed to force, Anasazi, and they had become Christians in appearance or outwardly. They lived according to the precepts and laws of their ancestral faith. Again, we look up Anasazi. And we just got people who are forcibly converted. We just got that out the dumb Diversas to another religion. The term Anasazi is most properly translated as coerced ones or forced ones. Forced what? This is anus. What are they forcing in the anus? What community has gotten literally raped? As a community, spiritually, mentally raped, forced. Their phalluses, anus, these people are sick. This Anasazi is derived from the Talmudic phrase, so you know you're going to a sick place in the Talmud. Whoa, in modern Hebrew, the word ones is mainly used to mean rape, just like we are kicking, all right? Rape, anus, rape, anus nowadays means rape victims. The forced converts were also known as Cristianos Nuevos, or new Christians, right? Or conversos, or Morano, Saracen, forced, converted, forced conversions. Now we're ready. So they had succumbed to forced conversions, anus, right in the anus from their phallus, and had become Christians in appearance, or outwardly they lived according to the precepts, all right? But they lived according to the precepts and laws of their ancestral faith. The law of Moshe in the city of Seville, a Jewish chronicler informs us, an inquisitor thus addressed the king: "Sire, if you wish to ascertain how the Anasazi, forced ones, forced converted ones, raped ones, or secret Jews, are Israelites in secret that were forced, raped to convert, Jews observe the Sabbath." So he says, "Sire, if you wish to obtain or ascertain how these secret Jews, these Anasazi, observe the Sabbath, let us ascend this tower." So they went to the top. Behold, there the house of the pseudo-Christian, not the Christian, the Nestorian Christian, right? The pseudo-Christian. Yonder is another, and here are several more. However cold the weather may be, you would not see smoke rising from any of these dwellings, for it is the Sabbath. And on that day, the secret Jews, Israelites, allow no fire to be kindled. They also have a man who slaughters animals for them according to the Jewish or Israelite rites and brings the meat to their houses, and another who performs circumcision. The Jewish writers have not exaggerated the loyalty of the Moreno. The loyalty of the Moreno, or converso, or new conversion, raped ones, Anasazi, Morenos, to their ancestral religion. So these Israelites that were forced to convert had an ancestral religion, is proven by the countless victims of the Inquisitions in Spain and Portugal, dumb Diversas 1452, and in Spain, Spanish and Portuguese colonies, who during the 3 centuries of his existence died in dungeons or in funeral pyre. Their religious loyalty would not be fully recognized and appreciated before the enormous mass of documentary evidence in the state archives of Alcalá de Henares and Semanicas, and in several archives in Portugal, has been sifted and utilized. Until quite recent times, this material was wholly or in great part neglected. I trust that I have succeeded in making a contribution to the history of the discovery of America, people. into the history of the Jews or Israelites, to whom America has been a land of refuge, a land of freedom, a promised land, right? And equality. So this is the promised land of these Israelites here in America. Now let's go. I'm going to get right into it, man. This brother Uno hit me with this. He said, man, you got to hit up this page, man, and work from there, man. So I'm going to listen to the brother's advice, man. I'm going to listen to the brother's counsel. This is our counsel, and we roll, we rock. We are rocking. Surfing the wave. Love to everybody surfing the wave. Everybody. Love to the family, man. It's so dope, man, to see the family, especially the family, you know what I'm saying, out in, these areas like, the UK and England and all these other areas out there, because we're realizing we're on the same exact flow. All the family out in South Africa and everywhere. We got family in every continent, India, every continent. So love to you. Let's go. Japan, China, let's go. So let's just start. It says Louis de Torres, the first European. You see the name of this chapter, Indians and Israelites. Indians and Israelites. All right, so Louis de Torres, the first European who discovered the use of tobacco, was also the first person of Jewish stock who settled in Colombia. Now we're talking Jewish. How we know we're talking about a convert? Because in Lost Tribes and Promised Land, we already broke this down. Ronald Sanders already broke this down. Columbus's Golden World. We do not know much concerning Columbus's crew of about 90 men aboard 3 ships, but at least one of them was an Israelite whose presence as such was not merely accidental. Now, was he an Israelite? Let's see. This was Louis de Torres, a convert of possibly only that year, who had held a position with the governor of Murcia. He was said to have known Hebrew, Aramaic, and some Arabic, so he was a convert, a Jewish, like they're saying, and had been brought along by Columbus specifically as an interpreter. One of the purposes of the voyage, as we have seen, was to find the great Khan, and Torres was to be the mouthpiece for this encounter, presumably on the basis of his Hebrew. Now, why would Columbus need a Hebrew interpreter? Why would Columbus need a Hebrew interpreter? Perhaps Columbus and his supporters had decided that the great Khan reported on by Marco Polo and others might be the Israelite king who dwelt across the river from Prester John, or might be Prester John, the Israelite king. Priest king. Prester means priest, priest king. So if Columbus and his supporters had decided that the great Khan reported on by Marco Polo and others might be the Israelite king, then that's why they need a Hebrew interpreter. And why would there be an Israelite king? And if there's an Israelite king, would there be an Israelite kingdom? And is Peru Jerusalem? Oh, they came and they conquered Peru and Mexico, right? I mean, they conquered Jerusalem, right? They conquered the Indian and the Israelite, right? It's Louis Torres, same Louis Torres, the convert, the first European who discovered the use of tobacco, was also the first person of Jewish stock who settled in Cuba with Columbus, right? The Hebrew interpreter, he won the favor of the ruler, the cacique, and received from him as presents not merely land. So he's in Cuba getting hooked up with your land, this convert, but also you. He got slaves, man. He got you. 5 adults and a child. He got 6 slaves and land. The king and queen of Spain granted him a yearly allowance of 8,645 maravedis, and he died in the newly discovered land where? In Cuba, in the Indies, in the Indias that 1452 The Papal Bull said, go and conquer and invade them and search them and rape these people. Now they're anuses. Now they're called anuses. In Cuba, Hispaniola, and other islands which he discovered, Columbus found natives who had their caciques and their own language, their own kings and their own culture, their own language and traditions. To what race did these aborigines or original people of America belong? Several writers have asserted, the key old question, who is the so-called Negro? And if they can't tell you who you are, Negro, they cannot tell you who you are not, Negro. And when you tell them that you are Israel, they cannot tell you that you're not. Because, listen up, several writers have asserted and have displayed much learning in attempting to prove that the Aborigines were descendants of the Jews or Israelites. Several writers, researchers, way back then in 1894. And now you say this today and people say, huh? No, you're not. You're from Africa. Several writers have asserted and have displayed much learning in attempting to prove that the Aborigines were descendants of the Jews, Israelites. This result was reached already in the 16th century. It was reached in the 1500s, they knew, by the Spanish clergy, Roldan. His arguments were derived from an unpublished manuscript which he discovered in the library of St. Pablo in Seville. Montesinos, who possessed the manuscripts of Louis Lopez, the learned bishop of Quito, was convinced, what I say, Perusalem. Remember Peru and Perusalem and Cuzco, the navel of the earth, Peru. This bishop was convinced that the Peruvians were of Jewish origin or Israelite origin. The Peruvians in Perusalem were Israelites. The view of Roldan and the Gregorio Garcia that the Aborigines of America were descendants of the Jews or Israel, right, was maintained with many arguments in one and the same year, 1650, independently by the Englishman Thorogood and by the Portuguese Jew Menasseh ben Israel. We got some of that book. A renowned rabbi of Amsterdam who induced Cromwell to allow the Jews to return to England. The Israelites to return to England. Which means that, yes, it goes back with these Picts and this Scottish and these Highlands and all this stuff going on. And I said love to the family in England because we have a connection with our family, a very strong connection with our family in the UK and in England and London, all that stuff. We're all riding the same wave here. A Portuguese Moreno or Converto of Villaflor, who, strange to say, also called himself Montesinos and afterwards assumed the name Aaron Levi, informed Menasseh that he had mingled in South America with Jews of the 10 tribes. So we got some of that Menasseh ben Israel in this world, and we might get some more of that, obviously, right? As well as the Benjamin of Dedula. So this Aaron Levi informed Manasseh that he had mingled in South America with Jews of the 10 tribes. Manasseh's book attracted much attention and was translated into Latin, Spanish, Dutch, English, Italian, and Hebrew. Nor has interest in it ceased even at the present day in 1650 up into 1894. This was a big topic of discussion, who these Negroes were, who the copper-colored races found here by the Europeans were. The treatise on the origin of the Americans was reprinted 12 years ago by the Spaniard Santiago Pérez Junquera. The descendant of the Americans is, in fact, a question which has often been discussed since the discovery of America down to the present day. If they can't tell you who you are, how can they tell you who you're not? The descendant of the Americans, right? The copper-colored races found here is in fact a question that has often been discussed since the discovery of America to the present day. So they enslaved this copper-colored race on their own land, in Jerusalem. These Israelites in Peru and Mexico, Mexica, Meshe, Moses, Mexica. Even in recent times, the Englishman Lord Kingsborough devoted his time, his attainments, and his greater part of his large fortune. This Englishman Lord Kingsborough devoted his entire fortune to the publication of a collection of American documents in order to prove, Negro, listen, they're proving you. This Englishman put all his money into collecting these American documents in order to prove the Jewish or Israelite origin of the Americans. To prove that you were of the 12 tribes. It is not improbable that the Jews who were driven from Nineveh by Salmanassar wandered into uninhabited regions, into a promised land. According to Hera, the Indians cherished the tradition that Yucatan had been settled by tribes from the Orient, or dark, copper-colored races and people. Several writers gave the exact route by which the Jews traveled until they settled in Cuba. Lord Kingsborough even asserts that they crossed the Bering Strait and then proceeded to Mexico and Peru. Mexico and Jerusalem. Let's go. Of more interest in the mode of migration is the question whether any analogies in language, in tradition, in religious conceptions, or in religious ceremonies justify the acceptance of this ethnological theory. Rodin's chief argument in support of his view is the language of the Indians in Hispaniola, Cuba, Jamaica, and the adjoining islands. He contends that it has many resemblances to Hebrew. In fact, he even calls it corrupted Hebrew. He said they speak in corrupted Hebrew. All right. He asserts that such names as Cuba and Haiti are Hebrew. And I got to looking at this chakra chart right here. I know it's small, but you see North America, South America, Africa, Asia, right? And all these numbers and circles are basically supposed to be these chakras and areas. Some of them are spinning like vortexes, And this one is here in Hawaii. And then it just hit me for the first time. Hawaii. H-A-W-A. Hawaii. And it's right there with this number 9 and the spinning vortex in Hawaii. As we know, these poles in this connection, they got female serpent, male, masculine serpent. And they got this other zone right here in Peru. In Jerusalem, another energy grid. You see how it all connects, all right? Mount Shasta, California, Tibet, all right? You know what I mean? Is it play? Is it play? So we're just talking about Hawaii, Hispaniola, Cuba, Jamaica, and the adjoining islands. He contends that it has many resemblances to Hebrew. In fact, he calls it corrupted Hebrew, which asserts that such names as Cuba and Haiti are Hebrew, probably Hawaii too, and that they are first applied by the earliest caciques, the chiefs or leaders, Cassim, who discovered and peopled the islands. The names of the rivers and of persons in use among the natives are derived from Hebrew. For example, Hana, from the Hebrew An, Ain, stream. Jonas from Jonah. Yoki, Yaki from Jacob. Urias from Urias. Siaboa from Seba. Masi from Moisi. The names of their tools of the little canoes or kansas. The name oxy for pepper. The name of the storehouse for maize, grain. Right? Remember, maize was discovered here first. Right there in Mexico. Corn here first. So if Jesus is picking corn is here first. Grain and the like all point to the Hebrew language. Their rites and ceremonies, as well as their language, form one of the main arguments in favor of this theory of descent. Circumcision prevailed among the Indians. They often bathed in rivers like the Fountain of Youth and streams. They refrained from touching the dead and from tasting blood. They had definite fasting days. Marriage with sisters-in-laws was permitted if they were childless widows. Wives were discarded for new helpmates. They also sacrificed first fruits on high mountains and under shady trees. All right, wives were discarded for new helpmates. I don't know what that means, but they also sacrificed first fruits on high mountains and under shady trees. They had temples and carried a holy ark before them in time of war. They were also, like the 10 tribes, inclined to idol worship. All writers and travelers agree, moreover, that there were many Jewish types or Israelite types of face among the Indians, the Aborigines of America. The question whether the American Indians are descendant of the Jews, whether they are the offspring of the 10 tribes, lost 10 tribes, or 12 tribes, has often been answered in both the affirmative and the negative, but it has not been definitely settled. But now they say that everything is definite. So if it's not definitely settled, then you can ask questions. You can be hypothetical. You can have theories. You can put this together for yourself. And in a small print, I like that. It says, see Israelite and Indian, a parallel and plane of culture. All right, somebody get that PDF, man, if y'all got it. By the writer Garrick Mallory, Israelite and Indian, a parallel and plane of culture. Salam, 1889. Man, all right. Then they get into another chapter. Columbus's return, his letters to Santiago and Sanchez, preparations for the second expedition. Man, Uno hit us with a great one, man, for this, man. So we got a lot more to dig on, man. Just want to get a little bit of that preface, man, get into some of that there, and, get back in that Torres and back in that lost tribes, because, we're just talking about the great Khan. We're just talking about who they came to meet with. They came to meet with the Israelite king. Columbus and his supporters had decided that the great Khan, reported on by Marco Polo and others, might be the Israelite king who dwelt across the river, the Saint-Menyan from Prester John. Dwelt across the Saint-Menyan from Prester John. The Saint-Menyan from Prester John, the Piedmont Indians of the Gran Sambanyana. Roraima, hey, if this mighty tree stump, this stump of a mighty tree that once held all the fruits and tuberous vegetables in the whole entire world. Now this is connected to South America and Brazil, as you know, right? So, what rivers, what are we connecting here, man? What are we connecting? This was rape. You've been converted. You've been forced to be a prisoner of war. They got code words for you. We are waking up out of her. And before we get to our dismount, this Hiram Art dismount, man, just quickly, I'll leave these links, man, just to show y'all where a lot of this stuff is connecting that the brother Hiram is bringing out, man. Love to the brother. It's just so thorough. You got the Newark Holy Stones, man. Love to Francisco. He brought so much of this out as well. The Holy of Holies, the law of God, the King of the earth, the word of the law. All written on these stones now. In the summer and fall of 1860. So again, this is the early 19th century. 2 artifacts were found in Ohio. Interesting. So all this is being found in Ohio with this Hebrew language on it. We just got these Indians already being here, speaking Hebrew. Columbus brought a Hebrew interpreter here. So it only makes sense that if he brought a Hebrew interpreter here to meet with the Israelite king here, that the artifacts are also here, that they're looking for there. The Decalogue, you got this, 1860, the same David Rurick of Newark, Ohio, found an inscribed stone in a burial mound of 10 miles south of Newark. The stone is inscribed on all sides with condensed version of 10 Commandments. 10 Commandments right here in Ohio, or Decalogue, in a peculiar form of post-exilic or post-exile. So it must have been after the Babylonian exile. Square, Hebrew letters, the robed and bearded figure on the front is identified as Moses in letters fanning over his head. Look at that. Look at these letters. They're calling this person Moses. Is it play? These are your artifacts coming right out of Ohio. Man. Now this is what's the top 10 bizarre archaeological discoveries. I'll just let you dig on it, man. They got, all these different drops in Mexico, of course. The Dropa stones. I think that's in China or Tibet. The Dropa. They got horned human skulls coming out of, where is that? Pennsylvania? I mean, what was that? They got the map of the Creator. I never heard of that before. That was discovered in 1999. A professor of Bashkir State University in Russia. They're saying that this is like a 3D map that shows. This map contains numerous inscriptions. At first, the scientists thought it was an old Chinese language, although it is later reported that the inscriptions were done in a hieroglyphic syllabic language of unknown origin. Unknown origin, man. The Dachka, all right? Well, I'm trying to get back to America here. Which was, this is the aluminum wedge of Iud, found in the Menasseh River, Romania. All right, here we go. Los Lunas Decalogue stone. So another commandment. The other one was in Ohio. This one is in New Mexico. The Los Lunas Decalogue stone is a large boulder on the side of a hidden mountain. So this is a boulder on the side of a mountain. This is not a small little item. This is a boulder on the side of a hidden mountain near Los Lunas, New Mexico, about 35 miles south of Albuquerque. The stone bears a regular inscription carved into a flat panel. The inscription is interpreted by some to be an abridged version of the Decalogue or 10 Commandments in a form of Paleo-Hebrew. Paleo-Hebrew right here in New Mexico. Why did Columbus need Torres, a convert, to speak Hebrew to the great Khan across the river from Prester John? So you're going to have all these links, man, so y'all can dig on it. But it says right here, the stone is controversial because many feel the artifact is pre-Columbian and proof of early Semitic contact. Not so fast. Semitic contact with the Americas, providing evidence that people from Israel settled in America, or that this is the old world, and this is Jerusalem, and you are the copper color race found here, and they went to war against all Israelites in 1452 and before that, but that was their declaration in Spain and in the Indies to conquer, invade, search out, and rape you for everything you are. Everything you are. And if you want more drop, there's U.S. museums with artifacts related to the biblical world that shows you all the museums in Cali, all the museums in Connecticut and Georgia and Illinois and Kentucky and Louisiana, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, Mississippi, Missouri, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, North Carolina, Ohio, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Texas, Virginia, Washington, D.C., Ontario, Canada, all having what? Artifacts related to the biblical world here in America. Dig on it, man. And as promised, we're going to make our dismount with my bro, your bro, Higher Mark. Thank y'all, man, for vibing, man. You know, again, man, we just in the calm zone. This is just something that we are experimenting with, getting to the classrooms and bringing that 432 frequency, man, right to our children, you know, right to our communities. Updating our grid, giving our grid a serious makeover, man, getting that Thoth frequency out of here, spreading that 432 vibration in the calm zone, learn and vibe. So sometimes you see me away for a while. This is what I'm putting together, you know, vibration awareness for you, for you. So let's get my brother. Love to hire Mars. Subscribe. I love Drop Nation for everything you are. Pure water. Let go.
Shoot crocodile. Okay, King Zaphna. Grand Canyons was Israel.
Grand Canyon.
Alright. So let's get
Arizona.
into it a little bit. We got a little more time. Let's get into it. Alright. Let's get into it. Okay, now this is the Egyptian artifacts found in the Grand Canyon. This is the book, okay? This is the book, the 45-page book. Okay, so we on page 30, around 35, 37. We just going over some things, and we went over some things before. We just troubleshooting basically. Okay, so it talks about the passages. We went over that before. How I just want to describe the structural passages. Okay, the main passageway is about 12 feet wide, narrowing to 9 feet toward the farther end, about 57 feet from the entrance. The first side passages branch off right and left along which on both sides a number of rooms about the size of ordinary living rooms of today, though some of are 30 to 40 square feet. Okay. The passages are chiseled and hewn as straight as they could be laid out by an engineer. The ceilings of many of the rooms coverage to a center. The side passages near the entrance of the run at a sharp angle from the main hall, but toward the rear they gradually reach a right angle direction. So it's just talking about the curvatures that are glorious in its design. Okay, so let's get into what they call the shrine. Okay, let's get into what they call the shrine. Okay, it's what they call the shrine. Over 100 feet from the entrance is a cross hall several hundred feet long, in which are found the idol. They call it an idol or image of the people's God, sitting cross-legged with a lotus flower or a lily in each hand. The cast of the face is oriental. Now this is what they call oriental, okay? This is what they call oriental, all right? And the carving, this cavern, okay, the idol almost resembles Buddha, though the scientists are not certain as to what religious worship it represents. Taking into consideration everything found thus far, it is possible that this worship mostly resembles the ancient people of Tibet. Okay, so they talked about this idol, okay, or this image of the people's God, okay, cross-legged with a lotus flower. Okay, so let's now not concentrate on the image. Okay, let's concentrate on what the image was holding. The image was holding a lotus flower. Okay, so let's dig in on the lotus flower. See if we can find some food. Okay, what about this lotus flower? What does this lotus flower mean? We need to find that out, because it could give us some insight on this so-called, what they call shrine.
Copper color races found here.
Okay, it says, in ancient Egypt, there were two main types of lotuses that grew. Okay? Alright, hold up, the computer acting a little slow. Alright, in ancient Egypt, there were two main types of lotuses that grew, the white and the blue. Okay? Scientifically, a water lily, but symbolically a lotus. Okay? Further to this, another type, the pink lotus flower, was introduced into Egypt sometime during the late period of their civilization. If one is to observe the many hieroglyphics, it is easy to see that the blue lotus flower is the most commonly portrayed. Okay? Is the most commonly portrayed. So who is this with this lotus flower? Okay. This Egyptian artwork shows the priest Nepsini holding a blue lotus flower. Okay. This Egyptian priest, an Egyptian priest shows, the artwork shows an Egyptian priest holding the lotus flower. Okay. See this melanated Egyptian priest? Okay. It's beautiful, isn't it? Okay. As mentioned in the introduction above, the meanings of the lotus flower, this part is known to be associated with rebirth. This is a consequence of it supposedly retracting into the water at night and emerging afresh in the sun the next day. So it goes down in the water and it reborns, it rebirths, and comes up every morning. Okay, see the introduction of how the lotus plant actually comes into bloom. The Egyptians, therefore, they call the Egyptians, okay, therefore associated the lotus flower with the sun, which also disappeared at night, only to reemerge in the morning. Therefore, the lotus came to symbolize the sun, the creation. In many hieroglyphs, works